Good afternoon. I'm Melanie Garrett here at Chicago's McCormick Place, coming to you live from GBTA Convention. And with me now is Tony DeSolfo from Serko, industry veteran. Tony, welcome.
Thank you, Melanie. It's great to be here.
Thank you for being here.
Yeah.
So far, so good on the convention?
Absolutely great. Yeah, we're having a good time. A lot of activity at our booth and great dialogue as usual. So all good.
What we want to hear. You've had a lot of experiences in business travel. You've been around a long time. and obviously across all parts of the business travel chain. What's your view on the part of the business travel chain that needs the most change?
Well, I'd say that distribution generally, whether it needs it or not, it's getting it. So you see it in all three sectors, right? So if you say, what are the big three spend areas in travel? So in air, there's this whole NDC and the airlines merchandising, and it's causing a fairly significant disruption to the status quo. On hotel, you see people pulling in content from multiple sources. So when you negotiate, do you need to also bring in what was considered leisure content, Booking.com, Expedia, those types of things, and even on ground transportation, right? We don't think about it as I'm just going to rent the car. Now you have the choice of, hailing something. Right. So I think more broadly, distribution is really where the industry is seeing the most change and the most disruption, and it's forcing people to kind of address it.
Right. So buyer expectations, they've changed a lot in both of our careers. What do you see as changing the most in the next decade for our travel buyers?
So I think it's going to be all focused on technology, right?
Yep.
And how technology impacts everything that they do. So even on the distribution side, so I don't know, but there's probably 20 sessions on NDC. Everybody wants to know how it's going to affect them.
Sure.
As a travel buyer, I look at it as the experience that they're delivering to their traveler or to their boss, right? And so how do they use technology to kind of enhance that experience? And so their perceptions, I think, are changing to the point where how do I bring more value to my travel program? What type of companies do I need to partner with? Right. It's not just sitting down with an airline. Yeah. It's sitting down with a data aggregation company. It's sitting down with somebody who can create a better experience in a mobile application. Right. And I'm talking about little mobile apps that are not necessarily extensions of your travel agency or your airline, right?
A lot more players now.
Exactly. So that whole idea of a supply chain gets wider and wider, right? It used to be just suppliers, a credit card, a TMC. Now you've got all of these ancillary partners that you might need to bring into your program to kind of weave it together. So back to the perception thing, they're sitting there, so what do I need to do over the next 10 years, over the next year, to make my program better?
Right. So integration is key.
Yes.
There. So data, always a hot topic.
Yep.
Okay, so how can we better use data to make more informed decisions?
So I kind of take a very simplistic approach about data. There's so much of it that what I try to do is, or what I tell people they should be doing, is thinking about who's going to consume the data, what type of data do you want to use, and what's the outcome of the data. So if you say I have data on my traveler and his experience, then I have data on my program, whether it's spend data. Then I have data on my suppliers, that's performance. Then I have data that I want to deliver to my boss. So if you break them up into those silos, and then you start to say, okay, how can I use data to create a better experience for the traveler? On our side, in our business, we have a booking tool and an expense tool. We look at that secondary level of data. So it's not so much how much have they spent on the trip. Did they make the right selection? Were they in policy? That's one level of data. The second level of data we look at it as, how did they actually make the booking? Did they book the same supplier 5 times in a row?
Right.
Do they go to the same city pair every Monday? They're a consultant. So what should our system be doing so that Zeno will react to that and say, you know what, this guy goes every Monday. He takes off, he goes to the same city, stays in the same hotel. Why don't I just offer him that versus making him go through a full search? So data, that kind of primary data we've been using in the industry, it's kind of the cost stuff and supplier performance. Now we got to get into that secondary level of data to kind of create a better experience for the people that are traveling.
Right. Well, that's good news. Thank you very much. And I'm assume that you can invite everybody back to your booth to get a little bit more information
Absolutely.
about Zeno.
Come by the booth. You can see our personal assistant, and we're actually showing a little visual assistant, so we got some cool stuff going on.
Very good. Well, with that, thank you very much, Tony, for your time. And thank you all for joining us here at McCormick Place for GBTA Convention. Thanks for tuning in.